Welcome back. This is a tutorial on how to make presets from scratch. Welcome to my crazy messy office right now. I just wanted to say a couple of things. So like I said, this video is a tutorial on creating presets from scratch. I don't personally do that very often. I usually use VSCO film as a base for all of my presets, so this was a bit of a challenge for me. I would love to hear what you guys think of the video, if it helped you in any way. And if you have any questions, or if you want me to make some more videos on presets, which will happen. There are tons of things I want to talk to you guys about presets, but I couldn't fit it all in one video, so I'm going to spread them out over time. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it and that you learn something from it, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye! Hey guys, welcome to the umpteenth time I have recorded this tutorial. This is going to be a tutorial for Lightroom again, but this time we're going to work on creating a preset from scratch. So what I would normally do is I would take one of these VSCO film packs on the left-hand side here, and I would use those as a base and then tweak them as I would want. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to work with the right-hand side here and just work with the tabs and toggles and see what we can come up with. So where I really want to start is I just want to bump up the exposure a little bit so it's properly exposed. And then I'm going to skip this section and go straight to the tone curve. So if you're not familiar with the tone curve, that's quite okay. You can come down to this little graph here, and you can work with these toggles here. So if you just hover over this graph, you can see which part of the line is in control of what. So down here are the shadows, the darks, the lights, and the highlights. So I'm not going to work with this section, but feel free to play around, make it your own. I'm going to come back down here to the graph, and this is where we were before. So I'm just going to plot down 3 points. This is how I would normally do my tone curve. And I'm going to bring up this here, and what I'm doing is what is called crushing the blacks. So it essentially gives your photo a faded look. I'm going to bring this down a bit. Don't mind me, I'm just playing around. I'm going to bump this up and this one up. And these are the highlights, I believe. I'm going to bring those down. Ooh. Okay, so it's essentially giving this like S effect. And you can see like I am very much in a shadow. So now I want to come back up and I want to play with these toggles. So normally I would bring down my highlights so you can see the clouds and the sky a little bit better. My shadows I want to bump up. Normally they are pretty high in my photos. And the whites I want to bring up a little bit. And if I wanted to bring up the blacks I could, but I just want to, like if I bring them up a lot, it's too much. So we'll leave them at 0 for now. I want to add a bit of clarity to this photo. That's way too much, but we'll keep it somewhere in the 20s for right now. We won't touch vibrance or saturation because we'll touch those in individual colors right down here. So we're going to start with the reds. I like to bring my hue down to an orange color just because my skin is naturally red, and I just want to even it out. So if I go more towards the orange, then I'm usually okay. I won't touch the luminance or saturation for now. I'm going to move into oranges, and although you can't really see my skin tone right now, usually I like to bump this down so I give my skin a more tanned effect, and because I'm usually very fair skinned. And I'm going to bring this up to a 15 for now. We're going to go into yellows, and here's where it gets fun. So I tweak the yellows and greens quite a bit when it comes to greenery, obviously. But I like my yellows a little bit more on the red side. So not too much. Sometimes I do get down to that color, but I'm going to leave it somewhere around like 50. And then we're going to bring down the saturation a little bit for now. and that brings out a lot more of the grass, so we'll keep that there. And the greens, I also bumped down to a yellowy tone. I don't always, usually with palm trees, I like to keep the palm trees green. But for the grass, I kind of liked this yellowy effect. So for this one, we're also going to bring down saturation a little bit, maybe even luminance. Oh, that looks good. Okay, turquoises we don't really have to touch, but we can see where they touch. It's really just a bit of my dress, so we'll leave those for now. So Lisa's got me on this whole turquoise sky effect, so we're going to bring down the blues to 25, or sometimes I even do 30. So we'll leave that about there. And then I'm just going to bring down the saturation a little bit. Nice bright blue sky. All right, since I normally don't really touch purples or pinks, but there is quite a bit of purple because I'm in a lavender field. So I'm going to bring down the purples in luminance a little bit, maybe even bump it up. And the hue can stay the same. Going down to split toning. So for those of you who don't know what split toning is, it controls the color of your highlights and shadows. So usually I like to keep my highlights at a cool color. So if you're not really sure what color you're touching here, you can go to this, this dropper and you can say, okay, I want something in a blue. And I know it looks crazy right now, but you just take the saturation toggle and you bring it right down. And then for shadows, I like to keep them in a warm orangey color. Again, we're going to go to our dropper. I'm going to pick an orange color and desaturate it. Now the balance, I like to keep at 0, just for consistency reasons, but you can see how different it gets. I'm actually going to bring up the blues a little bit more. Okay. All right, details we won't really touch. I'm going to bring down the sharpening because I can do that myself. We're going to close that tab. Okay, this is something I should have done from the beginning, but we're going to enable a lens correction. So you can see it kind of adds this like small vignette on the side. So we just want to enable it to make everything on the sides brighter. If you like that vignette effect, then you can just leave that off if you want to. Sometimes I leave it off, and it really depends on the photo. So to each their own. We're not going to touch anything in the transform tab or effects, but if you wanted to add more of a vignette, this is where you would come. I'm going to add a little bit of grain. We're going to go for a 20. And then this is where VSCO film kind of comes in handy. So when you pick any kind of preset on the left-hand side here, it automatically does this for you. So I'm just going to quickly show you what this does. I am not too familiar with this. I don't play around with this all that often, so let's check it out. Kind of like it more on the purple side for this one anyways. And then let's see what this does. Okay, well, I like that. I mean, this part is not entirely necessary. I already liked the picture as it was, but I mean, you can add some pretty cool effects in here. The blues are fun. You can get really funky with these. Maybe I should just put my entire feed like this. But this actually reminds me of Taylor Cut Films. If you guys don't know who that is, you should definitely check him out. He's got some awesome videos. You know what? I kind of like this effect. So let's see what this does. All right. I feel like this guy is like way too much. Okay, that looks good. All right, so we're going to close that tab. And let's see, anything else I want to change? Yeah, I like that. All right, so here's our before and here's our after. And I'm just going to do a quick brush on my body. just to bring out the sharpness here. Just a little bit. Cool. There we go. So that is our preset, and we're going to go over here. We're going to click this little plus sign, and we're going to call it lavender field, and we're going to put it in our favorites. So the things I usually check off are white balance. All of my presets, usually I click off the same thing so that I don't have to reset them every single time I add a preset. So I usually include white balance. This is this thing right here on the right. I usually leave it as shot, but sometimes it changes around. Maybe I've got like a funky preset, like a sunset preset usually has like more warmth and more magenta in it. And I will save that as a preset because it's way easier for me to just click on that and I know exactly where I put the temp and tint. So I leave that checked off. I always uncheck exposure because exposure is going to differ from picture to picture. All those things we touched. The tone curve will stay the same. Clarity, sharpening, all the colors, split toning. I leave out these filters here. Noise reduction we didn't really touch, but I'm going to keep that checked off because sometimes it does change from preset to preset. Lens correction we're going to leave off because it always depends on what camera I'm using. Transform and effects, we'll leave those in just because I added some grain in there. And we touch the calibration. So all of these I will usually leave on for every preset that I'm creating. So we're going to click create, and there we go. So that is in our favorite section, and I'm just going to reset this photo and go click on this and just bump up the exposure because we didn't include it. And there we go. All right, so that's it. We just created a custom preset from scratch. That was so cool. I've never actually done that successfully before, but I'm really happy with this photo. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I love reading your comments and answering your questions. And if there's anything else you want me to see, I'm definitely going to be making more preset tutorials. But yeah, would love to hear your thoughts, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.